I look like I've been awake for the past 4 nights because I have. Let me just come right out with this, guys. I really love dogs. There is something about us people that dog people that'll do anything for their dogs. Anything for their dogs. And I'm one of those guys because a lot of these dogs I rescue are in the fucking sewer, underground, or some shit, or they're fucking lost, or they're abused, and we gotta go rescue them from some asshole's house. And this one was special because one of the kids gave it to me, and it escaped from somewhere, and we rescue dogs all the time. Anyway, the poor little boy, when I got him, which by the way his name was Peaches, I call him little boy. He was like this big, palm of my hand size, and didn't have any teeth. And I'll be damned. He got sick about 4 days ago. He couldn't eat, couldn't drink. I took him to the vet, gave him an IV, gave him some medicine, went home. Shit, like blood everywhere. I knew his organs were shutting down. I knew it was something else. So it was like some virus that is pretty common here in Mexico for dogs, kills dogs constantly. And one of the people in my class had a puppy dog that's down the street that had this virus. And then we never had these dogs in contact with each other, but the people from that house have been over to this house and have touched this dog and touched that dog and so on. So that poor little dog, he, couldn't eat for 4 days. He was walking around the house like he was fine, he's looking around like he's alert and everything. And out of nowhere, I pick him up and he goes to walk and he collapses. And then he starts to tremble and I knew it was over. Because these dogs, and let me tell you something, it was very traumatic because I had him in my arms like this, and just as the rigor mortis sets in, like his legs stiffen out like this. And then I touch him more and he curls him back in, and then he stiffens out again and he curled back in. He gave a bit of a choke, he threw up, and that was his last breath. He had pneumonia. Had some kind of virus and pneumonia, and he was such a cute dog. Adorable little dog. Adorable little dog. Like, his hair, his little fur wasn't normal. Like, poodles have, there's a mixed dog, street dog. It was a puppy, and I love this dog to death. Had little curls, but he had hair. His fur was like yarn, like little pieces of yarn. It was very, very heartbreaking for her because she's never had to deal with a dog dying before. And I mean, I'm just like, I've had 2 dogs die, now 3 since I've been in Mexico. And that was, the first one was Bella. No, the first one was Terra. Terra was a mastiff I brought with me from Colombia. She was with me about 4 months, and one of the neighbors didn't like her, and threw poison in the fucking yard and killed my dog. And she suffered the entire night, it was terrible, guys. Terrible. But that is something that if you gotta live overseas, bros, you gotta be careful of where you bring your dogs and where you put your dogs. Because if there are people that don't like you for whatever reason, you're a foreigner or you're some guy from Serbia, or maybe they don't like your online presence, they will happily kill your fucking dog for you because people are psychopaths down here. And the life of dogs is very different than that of humans. Life expectancy for dogs, because of traffic, is so bad. You're lucky, you'd be hard pressed to even keep a dog for more than 5-10 years unless you keep it inside all the time. The heat from the outside makes dogs, expire young too. But the second dog that I had was Bella, and Bella was my service dog. The service dogs, they're not issued by the military, so let's just get that out of the way. Somebody who just happened to be from the military has a dog reserve that has service dogs. And then when Tara passed away, remember Tara was my service dog from Colombia, and so this young captain has this ranch, it's in wherever, and he had Boston Terriers. So I got a Boston Terrier, and she was adorable. She was such a gem. She got pregnant by the neighbor's dog, and had puppies, and she was just so small. She was so teeny tiny. She had 9 puppies. One survived, and she's been with me ever since. But I was so destroyed by it. I think I have been heartbroken more in the past 7 years by dogs than I have by people. I know that sounds nuts, but I've been heartbroken by losing dogs. And I'm not calling myself a victim or anything like that, just because some crazy neighbor wants to poison my fucking dog. But it's enough to, set me off and say, because it's a service dog, you got to realize that the service dog for a veteran is like life support, especially if you're in public. And the dog was always with me. He's always on my lap, always in the car with me. And when she passed away, bros, I was fucking just leveled for months. The VA doesn't give you service dogs. They don't give you service dogs. You have to make arrangements, and you have to train that dog for a year and a half, just for you. But what happened today was an eye-opener for me. And you guys know how much I love dogs and how much we rescue these dogs. And the vaccines for dogs are absolutely necessary here. Because there's heart problems, there's viruses, there's 2 types of viruses that kill dogs here. And people warned me when I went to Mexico City with the puppy of the last dog that passed away. And when I moved there, she was a little teeny tiny thing too, and people were like, hey man, your dog needs to go get vaccines, like right away. I go, why? What kind of fucking... They were like, yeah, it's a coronavirus that kills dogs. And this was before the epidemic shit. So I went to the vet and got her all of her injections and everything. It was like several, trips and so on. And you got to get these vaccines for these dogs, because otherwise, what happened to Peaches last night, this morning, what happened to your dog, especially here in Mexico. You got to allow your dogs, because we don't have leash laws and shit like that. So I usually let my dogs go and run around and do all they want and have fun. And people are respectful of dogs. They just don't give a fuck in traffic. They'll run your dog's ass over in a minute. But that didn't happen to Peaches. Peaches was sick. He had pneumonia at the last day. So I started to see as his poor baby kidneys started shutting down. He wasn't able to pee. He was in agony all the time. And just as he was dying, just as he let his last breath out, he put his head up and he see the white of his eyes. He gives me a little kiss and he fucking went limp. They say that. Sometimes people say that. Like a breakup could be worse than the death of a family member. That's important. Big strong guy crying over a dog. Well, it is what it is. I know some of you guys think I'm this heartless Serbian, cold as heart dude. Big tough guy comandante. And a little dog passes away. Brings me to tears. Well, let me tell you about one of my friends. One of my friends is the commander for the federal police in Mexico. And, before he retired, I was invited to go do a training weekend as a monitor for this security team. And the security team was the captains of all of the security for like the presidential security, the palatial security team. And I'm down there with these guys that are like the coolest, totally tactical, These guys have all been to war. These guys are all veterans. And JJ is one of my good friends that's in charge of he's got a gun range down in Puebla. And so the commander that owned we were in this big hacienda that had a wall going around it. This guy had like 30 of the Belgian dogs that, could jump over walls and shit. And he had like 30 of them. And he had cabins and stuff inside of his little ranch thing. And we all stayed in like these little rooms on the floor. It was like 10 of us inside. And so the next day, when the guys take break, the commander says, "Hey, come on over here, man. Go with me to go get some tacos." I was like, "Sure." And you think remember something. I'm with this team like 20 something guys that are like, these are all operators, like operators, hardcore trainers, and some of the best in the world for like civilian security teams and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm at this commander's place. He's like, "Hey, come on, let's go get some tacos." So we're chatting it up and so on. He wanted to know about my home and hometown, how I like Mexico and so on. And real good guy, straight guy. And we're driving along, and in the middle of the road, there's a baby dove that's sitting in the middle of like this tiny baby bird. And this commander stops the car, gets out, picks up this little baby bird, and walks over and puts it inside a bush right next to the woods. And he put it over there. And he gets back in the car and puts it in drive. And he goes, "Yeah, I love animals." And I knew his dog because his dog is actually famous. He got lots of medals for heroism and during the 2017 earthquake that happened. This was one of the guys that was there for that. And this dog's got more medals than most humans do for heroism. And that dog passed away. And as he's driving, he's doing what I'm doing with you guys. It's a commander that's been a commander for, decades. Old, just salty, jacked, like 50-year-old dude. And he was the commander of the federal, like, task force, JTF, Joint Task Force, that's what he was, JTF. And he had this huge compound that had all those Belgian dogs in it. And as I'm driving with this guy, he's telling me about his service dog that has, rescued so many people from earthquakes, and, he's, been shot at by the cartel. And, I mean, his dog was just a fucking superhero dog. I mean, very drastic, stark comparison from a poodle puppy dog, right? There's a couple of doctors. One of them is Jordan Peterson, and there's a couple of guys that are like this. We're hardcore on the outside, and we can fight like fuck, but a piece of us, when either somebody dies or something dies, in this case it was a dog, and dogs are very greatly an extension of us personally. And when this dog passed away, just a piece of me. I buried him in the park. Put stones on top of him. Put activated carbon so it didn't smell. Planted a tree on top of him. And then I got a big old boulder that's like this big, that weighs like 300 pounds. I could carry it. I'm gonna put it over there. Put it right on top of him. And I'm just gonna put. The name was Peaches, but the problem is that peaches don't grow here in this part of Mexico because it's never cold on this side. I was gonna put a peach tree, but we have these other things that are like apricots. I think that'll be good because they grow like crazy, and you don't need any water for them. But you guys remember Peaches? Remember when I got him? He was this big. He had no teeth. He was out here in the street. One of the kids got him, and they brought him to me. They're like, "Hey, we found this little puppy." And I was like, how adorable. He had at least like big poofy ears like this and teeny tiny body. And he's big. No, he didn't have big eyes. He had little beady eyes because he had like hair. It was hanging down in his face like this. This is a poodle. It's like one of those dogs that turn. You can have dreadlocks with him and stuff. Adorable. And he would run around my house and he slid and of course I have a Doberman that like bites every dog that comes in here. Grabbed them by the head the first night and just shook them like that. Damn near killed them. And after that they were best friends. Because I guess the Doberman only has to bite you once for you to learn that fucking lesson, right? Anyway, my 15 minutes of fame for this dog is going to have to go because I'm drawn to tears. But it takes a big man to cry. But it takes an even bigger man to laugh at that man. I'm the professor. I'm out.